Book 9. He who does injustice commits impiety. For since universal nature has formed the rational animals for one another, each to be useful to the other according to his merit, and never hurtful, he who transgresses this, her will, is clearly guilty of impiety against the most ancient and venerable of the gods. He who lies sins against the same divinity. For the nature of the whole is the nature of all things which exist, and things which exist are akin to all that has come to be. Nature indeed is called truth, and is the first cause of all truths. He then that lies willingly is guilty of impiety, insofar as by deceiving he works injury. And he also who lies unwillingly, insofar as he is out of tune with universal nature, and insofar as he works disorder in the universe by fighting against its design. He is at war with nature who sets himself against the truth. He has neglected the means with which nature furnished him, and cannot now distinguish false from true. He too who pursues pleasure as good, and shuns pain as evil, is guilty of impiety. Such a one must needs frequently blame the common nature for unseemly awards of fortune to bad and to good men. For the bad often enjoy pleasures and possess the means to attain them, and the good often meet with pain and with what causes pain. Again, he who dreads pain must sometimes dread a thing which will make part of the world order, and this is impious. And he who pursues pleasure will not abstain from injustice, and this is clear impiety. In those things to which the common nature is indifferent, for she had not made both, were she not indifferent to either, he who would follow nature ought in this also to be of like mind with her, and show the like indifference. And whoever is not indifferent to pain and pleasure, life and death, glory and ignominy, all of which universal nature uses indifferently, is clearly impious. By nature using them indifferently, I mean that they befall indifferently all beings which exist, and ensue upon others in the great chain of consequence which began in the primal impulse of Providence. Providence, in pursuance of this impulse, and starting from a definite beginning, set about this fair structure of the universe when she had conceived the plan of all that was to be, and appointed the distinct powers which were to produce the several substances, changes, and successions. It were the more desirable lot to depart from among men unacquainted with falsehood, hypocrisy, luxury, or vanity. The next choice were to expire when cloyed with these vices. Have you then chosen rather to abide in evil, or has experience not yet persuaded you to fly from amidst the plague? For a corruption of the mind is far more a plague than any pestilential distemper or change in the surrounding air we breathe. The one is pestilence to animals as animals, but the other to men as men. Despise not death, but receive it well content as one of the things which nature wills. For even as it is to be young, to be old, to grow up, to be full grown, even as it is to breed teeth and beard, and to grow gray, to beget, to go with child, to be delivered, and to undergo all the effects of nature which life's seasons brings, such is it also to be dissolved in death. It becomes not therefore a man of wisdom to be careless, or impatient, or ostentatiously contemptuous about death. He should rather await its coming as one of the operations of nature. Even as now you await the season when the child of your wife's body shall issue into the light, await the hour when your soul shall fall out of these, its teguments. If you wish for the common sort of comfort, here is a thought which goes to the heart. You will be completely resigned to death if you consider the things you are about to leave, and the morals of that confused crowd from which your soul is to be disengaged. It is far from right to be offended with them. It is even your duty to have a tender care for them, and to bear with them mildly. Yet remember that the parting, when it comes, will not be with men who think as you think. For the only thing which, if it might be, could hold you back and detain you in life, would be to live with those who had reached the same principles of life as you. But, as it is, you, seeing how great is the fatigue and toil arising from the jarring courses of those who live together, may cry, "Haste, death, lest I too should forget myself." The sinner sins against himself. The wrongdoer wrongs himself by making himself evil. Men are often unjust by omissions as well as by actions. Be satisfied with your present opinion if certain, with your present course of action if social, with your present mood if well pleased with all that comes upon you from without. Wipe out impression, stay impulse, quench desire, and keep the governing part master of itself. The soul distributed among the irrational animals is one. Rational beings, on the other hand, partake of one reasoning intelligence. Even so, there is one earth to all things earthy, and for all of us who are endowed with sight and breath, there is one light by which to see, one air to breathe. All things that share a common quality are strongly drawn to that which is of their own kind. The earthy tends towards the earth, fluids flow together, aerial bodies likewise, and naught but force prevents their confluence. Fire rises upward on account of the elemental fire, and it is so ready to join in kindling with all the fire that is here, that any matter pretty dry is easily set on fire, because that which hinders its kindling is the weaker element in its composition. Thus also then, whatever partakes of the common intellectual nature, hastens in like manner, or even more markedly, towards that which is akin to it. For the more it excels other natures, the stronger is its tendency to mix with and adhere to its kind. Accordingly, among irrational creatures we find swarms of bees, herds of cattle, nurture of the young, and love of a sort. For even in animals there is a soul, and in the more noble animals a mutual attraction is to be found at work, such as does not exist in plants, or stones, or wood. Among the rational animals again there are societies and friendships, families and assemblies, and, in war, treaties and truces. Among beings still more excellent there subsists, though they be placed far asunder, a certain kind of union as among the stars. Thus, ascent in the scale can produce a sympathy even in things that are widely distant. But mark what happens among us. It is only intellectual beings who forget the social concern for one another, and the mutual tendency to union. Here alone the social confluence is not seen. Yet are they environed and held by it, though they strive to escape, and nature always prevails. Observe, and you will see my meaning. For sooner may one find some earthy thing which joins with nothing earthy, than a man severed and separate from all men. Man, God, and the universe all bear fruit, and each in their own season. Custom indeed has appropriated the expression to vines and the like, but that is nothing. Reason has its fruit both for all men and for itself, and produces just such other things as reason itself is. If you can, teach men better. If not, remember that the virtue of charity was given you to be used in such a case. Nay, the gods are patient with them, and even aid them in their pursuit of some things such as health, wealth, and glory. So gracious are they. You may be so too. Who hinders you? Bear toil and pain, not as if wretched under it, nor as courting pity or admiration. Wish for one thing only, always to act or to refrain as social wisdom requires. Today I have escaped from all trouble, or rather I have cast out all trouble from me, for it was not without but within in my own opinions. All things are, in our experience, common, in their continuance but for a day, and in their matter sordid. All things now are as they were in the times of those we have buried. Things stand without, by themselves, neither knowing or declaring aught to us concerning themselves. What is it then that pronounces upon them? The ruling part. It is not in passive feeling but in action that the good and evil of the rational animal formed for society consists. Similarly, his virtue or vice lies not in feeling but in action. To the stone thrown up it is no evil to fall, no good to rise. Penetrate the souls of men and you will see what judges you fear, and how they sit in judgment on themselves. All things are in change. You yourself are under continual transmutation, and in some sort corruption. So is the whole universe. Another's sin you must leave with himself. The ceasing of any action, the extinction of any keen desire or of any opinion, is as it were a death to them. This is no evil. Think again of the ages of your life: childhood, youth, manhood, old age. Each change of these was a death. Is there anything to dread here? Think now of your life as it was, first under your grandfather, then under your mother, then under your father, and as you find there many other alterations, changes, and endings, ask yourself, is there anything to dread here? Thus neither is there anything to dread in the cessation, ending, and change of your whole life. Make swift appeal to your own ruling part, to that of the universe, and to his who has offended you. To your own, that you may make it a mind disposed to justice; to that of the universe, that you may remember of what you are a part; and to his, that you may know whether he has acted in ignorance or by design, and that you may also reflect that he is your kinsman. You yourself are a part of a social system necessary to complete the whole. Accordingly, let your every action be a similar part of the social life. And if any action has not its reference, either immediate or distant, to the common good as its end, this action disorders your life and frustrates its unity. It is sedition like that of the man who, in a commonwealth, does all in his power to sever himself from the general harmony and concord. Children's quarrels, child's play, poor spirits carrying about dead corpses. Such is our life. The mask of the dead is intelligible by comparison. Go to the quality of the cause, abstract it from the material, and contemplate it by itself. Determine then the time, how long at furthest this thing of this peculiar quality can naturally subsist. You have endured innumerable sufferings by not being satisfied with your own ruling part when it does the things which it was formed to do. Enough, then, of that. When another reproaches or hates you, or utters anything to that purpose, go to his soul, enter in there, and look what manner of man he is. You will see that you need not trouble yourself to make him think well or ill of you. Yet you should be kindly towards such men, for they are by nature your friends, and the gods too aid them in all ways, by dreams, by oracles, and even in the things about which they are most eager. The course of things in the world is ever the same, a continual rotation up and down from age to age. Either the universal mind exerts itself in every particular event, in which case you must accept what comes immediately from it, or it has exerted itself once and for all, and as a result all things go on forever, in a necessary chain of consequence. Or again, atoms and indivisible particles are the origin of all things. In fine, if there be a God, all is well. And if there be only chance, you at least need not act by chance. The earth will presently cover us all, and then this earth will itself be changed into other forms, and these again into others, and so on without end. And if anyone considers how swiftly those changes and transmutations roll on, like one wave upon another, he will despise all things mortal. The universal cause is like a winter torrent. It sweeps all along with it. How very little worth are those poor creatures who pretend to understand affairs of state, and imagine they unite in themselves the statesman and the philosopher. The frothy fools! Do you, O man, that which nature now requires of you. Set about it if you have the means, and look not around you to see if any be taking notice, neither hope to realize Plato's Republic. Be satisfied if the smallest thing go well. Consider even such an event as no small matter, for who can change the opinions of men? And without change of opinion, what is their state but a slavery under which they groan, while they pretend to obey? Come now, speak of Alexander, Philip, and Demetrius of Phalerum. They know best whether they understood what the common nature required of them, and whether they trained themselves accordingly. But if they designed only to play the tragic hero, no one has condemned me to do the like. The work of philosophy is simple and modest. Lead me not astray in pursuit of a vainglorious stateliness. Look down as from some eminence upon the innumerable herds, the countless solemn festivals, the voyaging of every sort in tempests and in calms, the different states of those who come into life, enter upon life's associations, and leave it in the end. Consider too the life which others have lived formerly, the life they will live after you, and the life that barbarous peoples are now living. How many of these know not even your name? How many will quickly forget it? How many are there who perhaps praise you now, but will shortly blame you? Reflect then that neither is surviving fame a thing of value, nor present glory, nor anything at all. Let nothing due to a cause outside yourself disturb your calm. In the workings of the active principle within you let there be justice. That is a bent of will and a course of action which have social good as their one end, and so are suited to your nature. You can suppress many of the superfluous troubles which beset you, for they lie wholly in your own opinion. By this you will give ample room and ease to your life. You may compass this end by comprehending the whole universe in your judgment, by contemplating eternity, and by reflecting on the swift changes of individual things, thinking how short is the time from their birth to their dissolution, how immense the space of ages before that birth, how equally infinite the eternity which shall succeed that dissolution. All things that you see will quickly perish, and those who behold them perishing are very soon themselves to die. And he who dies oldest will be in like case with him who dies before his time. What manner of souls have these men? What is the end of their striving, and on what accounts do they love and honor? Imagine their souls naked before you. When they fancy that their censures hurt, or their praises profit us, how great is their self-conceit! Loss is naught but change. In change is the joy of universal nature, and by her all things are ordered well. From the beginning of ages they have been shaped alike, and to all eternity they will be the same. How then can you say that all things have been, and ever will be, evil? That among so many gods there has been found no power to rectify, but that the universe is condemned to endure the burden of never-ending ill? How corrupt is the material substance of everything: water, dust, bones, and foulness. Again, marble is but the concrete humor of the earth, gold and silver its heavy dregs. Our garments are but hair, the purple dye, blood. All else is of a like nature. Breath too is just the same, ever changing from this to that. Enough of this wretched life. Enough of repining and apish trifling. Why are you disturbed? Are any of these troubles new? What excites you so? Is it the cause? Then view it well. Is it the matter? View it also well. Besides these there is nothing. Wherefore at last act with more simplicity and goodness towards the gods. Whether you look on this spectacle for 100 years or for 3, it is the same. If he has done wrong, the evil is with him, and perhaps too he has not done wrong. Either all things proceed from one source of intelligence and come together in one body, in which case the part must not complain of what comes about for the benefit of the whole, or all is atoms, and there is nothing else but confused mixture and dissipation. Why then are you disturbed? Say to your soul, thou art dead, thou art rotten, thou hast turned beast, joined the herd, and dost feed along with them. Either the gods have power or they have none. If they have no power, why do you pray? If they have power, why do you not choose to pray to them for power, neither to fear, nor to desire, nor to be grieved over any of these external things, rather than for their presence or their absence? Surely if the gods can aid man at all, they can aid him in this. But perhaps you will say, the gods have put this in my own power. Then is it not better to use that which is in your own power and preserve your liberty, than to set your heart on what is beyond your power and become an abject slave? And who has told you that the gods aid us not in these things also which are in our power? Begin to pray about them, and you will see. One man prays, may I possess that woman. Do you pray, may I have no wish to possess her? Another prays, may I be delivered from so-and-so. Pray you, may I not need to be delivered from him. A third cries, may I not lose my child. Let your prayer be, may I not fear to lose him. In fine, turn your prayers this way and observe what comes of it. Epicurus says, in my sickness my conversations were not about the diseases of this poor body, nor did I speak of any such things to those who came to me. I continued to discourse as before on the principles of natural philosophy, and was chiefly intent on the problem of how the mind, though it partakes in the violent commotions of the flesh, might remain undisturbed and keep guard on its own proper excellence. I permitted not the physicians, he continues, to magnify their office, and vaunt themselves as if they were doing something of great moment, but my life continued pleasant and happy. What he did then in sickness, do you also if ye fall ill, or suffer any other misfortune. Never to depart from your philosophy whatever befalls you, never to join in the folly of the vulgar and the ignorant, is a maxim common to all the schools. Give your mind only to the business now in hand, and to the means whereby it is to be accomplished. When you are offended by the shamelessness of any man, straightway ask yourself, can the world exist without shameless men? It cannot. Therefore do not demand what is impossible. Your enemy also is one of these shameless people who must needs be in the universe. Have the same question also at hand when you are shocked at craft, or perfidy, or any other sin. For while you remember that it is impossible that the class should not exist, you will be more charitable to each particular individual. It is useful also to have this reflection ready. What virtue has nature given to man wherewith to combat this fault? Against unreason she has given meekness as an antidote. Against another weakness, another power. You are also at full liberty to set right one who has wandered. Now every wrongdoer is missing his proper aim and has gone astray. And then, in what are you injured? You will find that none of those at whom you are exasperated have done anything whereby your intellectual part was like to be the worse. Now anything which can really harm or hurt you has its subsistence there and there alone. And wherein is it strange or evil that the man untaught acts after his kind? Look if you ought not rather to blame yourself for not having laid your account with his being guilty of such faults. Your reason gave you the means to conclude that it was probable that he would do this wrong. You forgot, and yet wonder that he has done it. But above all, when you are blaming anyone for faithlessness or ingratitude, turn to yourself. The fault lies manifestly with you if you trusted that a man of such a disposition could keep faith, or if, when you granted the favor, you did not grant it without ulterior views, and on the principle that the complete and immediate reward of your action lay in the doing of it. What would you more, when you have done a man a kindness? Is it not enough for you that you have acted in this according to your nature? Do you ask a reward for it? It is as if the eye were to ask a reward for seeing, or the feet for walking. For just as these parts are formed for a certain purpose, which they fulfill according to their proper structure, they attain their proper end. So man, formed by nature to do kindness to his fellows, whenever he acts kindly or in any other way works for the common good, has fulfilled the purpose of his creation, and has possession of what is his own. End of Book 9. Book 10. Wilt thou ever, O my soul, be good and single, and one, and naked, more open to view than the body which surrounds thee? Wilt thou ever taste of the loving and satisfied temper? Wilt thou ever be full and without wants, setting thy heart on nothing, animate or inanimate, for the enjoyment of pleasure, not desiring time for longer enjoyment, nor place, nor country, nor fine climate, nor congenial company? Wilt thou be satisfied with thy present state, and well pleased with every present circumstance? Wilt thou persuade thyself that all things are thine, that all is well with thee, that all comes to thee from the gods, and that what is best for thee is what they are pleased to give, now and henceforth, for the preservation of that perfected being, which is good, just, and beautiful, which generates, combines, embraces, and includes all fleeting things that dissolve to bring forth others like themselves? Wilt thou never be able to live a fellow citizen with gods and men, approving them, and by them approved? In so far as you are governed by nature only, observe carefully what nature demands. Then do that freely, if thereby your nature as a living being be not made worse. Next you must consider what the nature of a living being demands, and allow yourself everything of this kind by which your nature as a rational being is not made worse. Now it is plain that what is rational is also social. Therefore follow these rules and trouble no further. Whatever happens, nature has either formed you able to bear it or unable. If able, then bear it as nature made you able, and fret not. If unable, yet do not fret, for when the trial has consumed you, it too will pass away. Remember, however, that nature has made you able to bear whatever it is in the power of your own opinion to make endurable or tolerable, if only you conceive it profitable or fit to be borne. If a man is going wrong, instruct him kindly and show him his mistake. If you are unable to do this, blame yourself, or none. Whatever happens to you was prearranged for you from all eternity, and the concatenation of causes had from eternity interwoven your existence with this contingency. Whether all be atoms or there be a universal law of nature, let it be laid down first that I am a part of the whole which is governed by nature. Secondly, that I am associated with other parts like myself. Mindful of this, since I am a part, I shall not be dissatisfied with anything appointed me by the whole. For nothing is hurtful to the part which is profitable to the whole, since the whole contains nothing unprofitable to itself. All natural systems have this law in common, and the system of the universe has another law besides, namely that it cannot be forced by any external cause to produce anything hurtful to itself. If therefore I remember that I am part of such a whole, I shall be satisfied with all that flows therefrom. And inasmuch as I am associated with parts like myself, I will do nothing unsocial, but rather draw to my kind, turn my every endeavor to the public good, and shun the contrary. In such a course my life must needs run well, just as you would hold that the life of a citizen runs well when he passes on from one public-spirited action to another, and throws himself heartily into every task appointed him by the state. The parts of the whole, I mean the parts which are contained in the universe, must necessarily perish. Perish, let us say, meaning change. Now if it be a necessary evil for the parts to perish, it could not be well for the whole that its parts should tend to change and be constructed to perish in various ways. Did nature then set out to injure her own constituent parts, making them so that they are liable to evil and of necessity fall into it, or did it escape her notice that this comes to pass? Both suppositions are incredible, and if, dropping the notion of nature, one were merely to put it that things are constituted so, then how ridiculous at the same time to say that the parts of the universe are constituted so as to change, and also to wonder and fret at change or dissolution, as if it were something against the course of nature, especially as everything is dissolved into the elements out of which it arose. For there is either a scattering of the elements of which a thing was constructed, or a conversion of these, of the solid into earth, of the spiritual into air, so that these constituents are resumed into the system of the universe, which either undergoes periodic conflagration, or is renewed by never-ending changes. And do not imagine that you had all your earthly and aerial matter from your birth, for the whole of this was an accession of yesterday or the day before, from your food and from the air you breathed. It is this accession which changes, and not what your mother bore. And granting that this recent accession may incline you more to what is individual in your constitution, yet, I think, it alters nothing of what has just been said. Having taken to yourself these titles, good, modest, true, prudent, even-tempered, and magnanimous, look to it that you change them not, and if you should come to lose them, seek them straightway again. And remember that prudence means for you reasoned observation of all things, and careful attention, even temper, cheerful acceptance of the lot appointed by universal nature. Magnanimity, the exaltation of the thinking part above any pleasant or painful commotions of the flesh, above vainglory, above death, and all such things. If you steadfastly maintain yourself in these titles, with no hankering after hearing them given to you by others, you will be a new man, and a new life will open for you. For to continue as you have been till now in the same life of distraction and defilement would mark you as a man devoid of sense, who clings to life like the half-eaten beast fighters, who though covered with wounds and gore do yet appeal to be reserved until tomorrow. to be cast again in their wretchedness to the claws and fangs that lacerated them before. Take your stand then on these few titles, and if you are able to abide in them, abide as one removed to the islands of the blessed. But if you perceive that you are falling away and cannot prevail, have the courage to retire into some corner where you may hope to prevail, or else depart from life altogether, not in anger, but in all simplicity, freedom, and modesty, having done at least one thing in life well by so leaving it. Now it will greatly help you to be mindful of your titles if you will recollect that the gods desire not adulation, but that reasoning beings should grow in likeness to themselves. And further, that a fig tree is set to bear figs, a dog to hunt, a bee to gather honey, and a man to do a man's work. Mimes, war, panic, sloth, servility will wipe out the sacred maxims which you have gathered by observing nature and stored in your mind. You ought to look and act in every case so that not only shall the task before you be accomplished, but also your theoretic faculty exercised, and the self-confidence which springs from special knowledge preserved without ostentation or affected concealment. Will you ever attain to simplicity, to dignity, to a perfect discrimination in every case as to what a thing really is, what its true place in the universe, what the time it may endure, what its composition, to whom it may belong, and who can give and take it away? The spider exults when he has captured a fly, one man because he has taken a little hare, another because he has netted an anchovy, another because he has hunted down a wild boar or a bear, and another because he has conquered the Sarmatians. But are they not brigands all, if you look to their principles? Acquire a method of perceiving how all things change into one another. Pursue this branch of philosophy and continually exercise yourself therein. There is nothing so proper as this for cultivating greatness of mind. He who does so has already put off the body, and, having realized how soon he must depart from among men and leave all earthly things behind him, he resigns himself entirely to justice in all his own actions, and to the law of the universe in everything else which happens. As for what anyone may say or think of him, or do against him, he gives it not a thought, but contents himself with these two things: to do justly what he has in hand, and to love the lot appointed for him. Such a man is thrown off all hurry and bustle, and has no other will but this, to keep the straight path according to the law, and to follow God, whose path is ever straight. What need for suspicion when it is open for you to consider what ought to be done? If you see your way, proceed in it calmly, inflexibly. If you do not see it, pause and consult the best advisers. If any other obstacle arise, proceed with prudent caution according to the means you have, keeping always close to what appears just. That is the best to which you can attain, and failure in that is the only proper miscarriage. He who in everything follows reason is always at leisure, yet ever ready for action, always cheerful, yet composed. As soon as you awake, ask yourself, will it be of consequence to you if what is just and good be done by some other man? It will not. Have you forgotten what manner of men in bed and at table are those who make such display in praise and blame of others? What they do, what they shun, and what they pursue? How they steal and how they rob, not with hands and feet, but with their most precious part, whereby, if a man will, he may gain faith, modesty, truth, law, a good directing spirit. To nature, which gives and again resumes all things, the well-instructed modest man will say, give what thou wilt, take again what thou wilt. And this he says not with ostentation, but out of pure obedience and goodwill to nature. What remains to you of this life is little. Live as on a mountain, for it makes no difference whether we live here or there, provided we live like citizens everywhere in the world. Let men see and know you as a man indeed, living according to nature. If they cannot endure you, let them slay you. It is better so than to live as they live. Discourse no more of what a good man should be, but be one. Constantly imagine all time and all existence, and think that every individual thing is in substance a fig seed, and in time the turn of an augur. Consider each of the things around you as already dissolving, in a state of change, and as it were corrupting and being dissipated. or as one and all formed by nature to die. What sort of men are they when they are eating, sleeping, procreating, easing nature, and the like? Then see them lording it over their fellows, puffed up with pride, angry, or issuing judgments from on high. To how many were they slaves but lately? And why? And in what case will they shortly be? That is for the advantage of every man which is brought by universal nature, and for his advantage at the very time at which she brings it. Earth loves the rain, and the majestic ether loves. The universe loves to bring about whatever is coming to be. I then will say to the universe, what thou lovest I love. Is it not a common saying that so and so loves to happen? Either you are living here your accustomed life, or you are going abroad, and that at your own will, or you are dying, and your public office is discharged. Now besides these there is nothing. Be therefore of good courage. Keep this ever clear before you, that a country retreat is just like any other place. All things here go the same as on a mountain top, or on the sea beach, or where you will. You may always find that life of the wise man who in Platonic phrase makes the city wall serve him for a shepherd's fold on the mountains. What is my soul to me? What am I making of it, and to what purpose am I now using it? Is it void of understanding? Is it loosened and rent from the great community? Is it glued to and mingled with the flesh so as to follow each fleshly motion? Whoever flies from his master is a runaway. Our master is the law, and the lawbreaker is a runaway. And so is he also who through grief or anger or fear will not acquiesce in something that has happened, is happening, or will happen, in the course of things predestined by the all-ruling power which is the law, laying down for every man what is proper for him. He then who is afraid or grieved or angry is a runaway. He who has cast seed into the womb departs. Another cause takes and works upon it and completes the child. How wonderful the result from such a beginning! The child again takes food down its throat. Another cause takes and transforms it into sensation, motion, in a word, into life and strength and other things. How many and surprising! Consider then these things happening in such hidden ways, and view the power which produces them, just as we perceive the gravitation and levitation of bodies. Not indeed with our eyes, yet none the less clearly. Continually reflect that all that is happening now happened exactly in the same way before, and reflect that the like will happen again. Place before your eyes all that you have ever known from your own experience or from ancient history, dramas and scenes all similar, such as the whole court of Hadrianus, the whole court of Antoninus, the whole court of Philip, of Alexander, of Croesus. All these were similar, only the actors different. Imagine everyone who is grieved or storms about anything whatever to be like the pig in a sacrifice, which kicks and screams under the knife. Such too is he who on his couch deplores in silence by himself that we are all tied to our fate. Reflect also that only to a rational being is it given to submit to what happens willingly. The bare submission is a necessity upon all. Look attentively on each particular thing you do, and ask yourself if death be a terror because it deprives you of this. When you are offended at anyone's fault, turn at once to yourself and consider of what similar fault you yourself are guilty, such as esteeming for good things, money, pleasure, a little glory, or the like. By fixing your attention on this, you will speedily forget your anger, especially if it occur to you that he acts under compulsion and cannot do otherwise. Else, if it be in your power, relieve him from the compulsion. When you have seen Satyrio the Socratic, think of Eutychus or Hymen. When you have seen Euphrates, think of Eutychio or Silvanus. When Alcephoron comes before you, think of Tropiophorus, and when Xenophon, think of Crito or Severus. When you look upon yourself, think of any of the Caesars, and with every man likewise. Then let this occur to you: where now are these? Nowhere, or who can tell? For thus you will see all human things to be smoke and nothingness, especially if you call to mind that what has once been changed will never exist again through all the infinity of time. Why then this concern? And why does it not suffice you to live out your short span in well-ordered wise? What material, what a subject for philosophy you are shunning! For what are all earthly things but exercises for the rational power, when it has viewed all things that occur in life accurately and in their natural order? Abide, then, until you have assimilated all these things, as a strong stomach assimilates every variety of food, as a bright fire turns whatever you throw upon it into flame and radiance. Let no man have it in his power to say with truth of you that you are not a man of simplicity, candor, and goodness. But let him prove to be mistaken who holds any such opinion of you. This is quite in your power, for who shall hinder you from being good and single-hearted? Only do you determine to live no longer if you cannot be such a man, for neither does reason require in that case that you should. In the present matter, what is the soundest that can be done or said? For whatever that may be, you are at liberty to do or say it. Make no excuses as if hindered. You will never cease from groaning until your disposition is such that what luxury is to men of pleasure, that to you is doing what is suitable to the constitution of man on every occasion that is thrown or falls in your way. You should regard as enjoyment everything which you are at liberty to do in accordance with your own proper nature, and this liberty you have everywhere. Now to the cylinder it is not given to move everywhere with its proper motion, nor to water, nor to fire, nor to any other thing that is governed by a natural law only, or by a soul irrational. For there are many circumstances which constrain and stop them, but intelligent reason can pursue, through every obstacle, the course for which it was created, and which it wills to follow. Set before your eyes this ease with which reason makes its way through all obstacles, as fire goes upwards, a stone downwards, or a cylinder down a slope, and seek for nothing further. The rest of man's difficulties are merely of the body, the lifeless part of him, or else they are such as cannot crush or in any way injure him save through opinion or the surrender of reason itself. Otherwise he who suffered by them would himself straightway become evil. In the case of all other organisms, when mishap befalls, the sufferer is thereby rendered worse. But in this respect it may be said that a man becomes better and more praiseworthy by rightly using his circumstances. In fine, remember that nothing which hurts not the city hurts the man, who is by nature a citizen, nor does that hurt the city which hurts not the law. Now none of the things called misfortunes can hurt the law. Accordingly, what hurts not the law can hurt neither city nor citizen. To the man who is penetrated with true principles, the shortest, the most common hint is a sufficient memorial to keep him free of sorrow and fear, such as, some leaves the winds blow down, the fruitful wood breeds more meanwhile, which in springtide appear. Of men thus ends one race, while one is born. Your children are leaves, leaves too the creatures who confidently cry aloud and deal out eulogy, or it may be curses, or who carp and jeer in secret. Leaves likewise are they who transmit our fame to posterity. All these in springtide appear, then the wind shakes them down, and the forest grows more to take their places. Shortness of life is common to all things, yet you shun and pursue them as though they were to have no ending. But a little and you will fall asleep, and anon others shall mourn for him who carried your bier. The healthy eye ought to look on everything visible, and not to say, I want green, like an eye that is diseased. Sound hearing or sense of smell ought to be ready for all that can be heard or smelt, and the healthy stomach should be equally disposed for all sorts of food, as a mill for all that it was built to grind. So also the healthy mind should be ready for all things that happen. That mind which says, let my children be spared, and let men applaud my every action, is as an eye which begs for green, or as teeth which require soft food. There is no man so happily fated but that when he is dying some bystander will rejoice at the doom which is coming upon him. Were he a virtuous and wise man, will not someone at the last say within himself, at last I shall breathe freely unoppressed by this pedagogue? He was not indeed hard on any of us, but I always felt that he tacitly condemned us. This they would say of a good man. But in my own case, how many more reasons are there why a multitude would rejoice to be rid of me? You will reflect on this when dying, and depart with the less regret when you consider. I am leaving a life from which my very partners for whom I toiled and prayed and planned are wishing me to be gone, hoping it may be to gain some additional advantage from my departure. Why then should one strive for a longer sojourn here? Yet let not your parting with them be less pleasant on this account. Preserve your own character. Remain to them friendly, benevolent, gracious. On the other hand, depart from your fellow men not as if torn away, but let your going be like that of one who dies an easy death, whose soul is gently released from the body. Nature knit and cemented you to your fellows, but now she parts you from them. I part then as from relations, not reluctant but unconstrained. For death too is a thing accordant with nature. Accustom yourself as much as possible, when anyone takes any action, to consider only, to what end is he working? But begin at home, and examine yourself first of all. Remember that the mover of the puppet strings is the hidden principle within. It is that which is eloquence, that which is life, that, if I may say so, which is the man. Never in your imagination confound that principle with the surrounding earthen vessel and the little organs that are kneaded onto it. Excepting that they grow upon us, they are like the carpenter's axe, since without the moving and restraining principle, none of these parts in itself is of any greater service than the shuttle to the weaver, the pen to the writer, or the whip to the charioteer. End of Book 10.